Yo, it's Panther, and today we're playing Saints Row. Not just any Saints Row, but the Saints Row reboot. Unfortunately, when I did see the teaser, I was very, very excited, just like any other person, just to only realize that it is a reboot, and it's not the reboot that we all thought it was going to be. Unfortunately, it kind of turned out like this.
Who? You sure you're at the right party?
Nope.
So I'm sitting there, barbecue sauce on my titties.
I wonder what they could be talking about.
Hello? It's Antonio Espina.
Who? All right. Looks like we're jumping straight into character customization.
Eventually.
Antonio, glad you came to your senses. Hey, I'm kind of having a party right now, but we'll talk business later.
Business. Yeah, okay.
Oh. Party going on, so I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Fuck the Panteras. Fuck the idols. Fuck Marshall. The
What'd they
Saints
do?
are here to stay, baby. So, if you know how to shoot a gun, or if you're broke and want to learn how, swing by the church. We'll be waiting for you.
He looks like an evil mastermind, but I can't take him serious with that voice. I can't take my character serious with that voice. I don't even know what to name this character. Oh. Uh-oh. Something happened. I mean, hey, I'm just saying Verizon can give a replacement.
Why?
Oh. We're going to flashbacks that we don't even know exist. Oh yeah, I look very normal in this circumstance. Hey, come on now. My eye is protruding. Alright guys, that is going to be the end of Saints Row the Reboots. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. And turn that... okay. I guess that's not all.
Hello, and welcome to Marshall Defense Industries.
Whoa!
We know it wasn't easy getting here. Your journey began with one of the most unforgiving job interviews we could devise. But you did more than just survive
Fire?
a few live fire exercises.
A few live fire exercises.
And in doing so,
Oh!
proved that you were Marshall material. But don't take my word for it. Hear it from the man.
Can I pause? Can we look at these people for a second? This right here is just... It's what? Ghost Recon right here? This is like a crossover between Ghost Recon and Borderlands. I wonder if that was their inspiration. I don't know. I just find it fascinating.
And himself.
Hello, I'm Atticus Marshall, and I wanted to personally welcome you to the Marshall family. Here at MDI, we don't just make a profit. We make the world
Whoa!
a better place. Now let's take a step through each of those letters.
Why are you watching that now?
It's the orientation video.
I know what it is. Why are you watching it now?
Well, I mean, we're about to be shot at, so I figured it couldn't hurt to brush up.
Let's just take a... Let's just take a nice look at this. Let's examine this. Okay, first of all, knowing in mind that my character has a big forehead, or I guess just a big cranium all around, how did the helmet fit on? And second off, I'm all eyes? Because I'm kind of paying attention to everything.
If you weren't paying attention to the briefing, I don't think you'll live long enough for your copay to matter.
So I should be reviewing the life insurance policy.
You know, our job interview has a 5% mortality rate. Statistically, the odds were low that you would die before we hired you, but I allowed myself to be an optimist.
Your parents should have treated you better.
Yours should have treated you worse.
Damn.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Contrary to your colleague's demeanor, this is no laughing matter. Newbie, catch up.
Right.
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
get
yeah.
some
I'm working on it.
bloody
I'm
shit.
working on it.
Turrets, take
Oh.
cover.
Why ain't that an introduction?
That was
Oh. Well, as I was saying, oh. Okay.
great fucking start.
First criticism I have for this game so far
Anybody left?
Me, I think.
is,
Figures. We have to rendezvous with Bravo team or we're dead.
is the
You push
subtitles.
forward, I'll meet you there.
The who? Also, I can't see exactly. Thank you. You know, this is very, like,
Shit. That helps. Hey, you!
I mean,
we
it-
need to find...
you filled in the words for me, not,
Better hustle,
didn't
newbie.
have to.
Bravo team is ready to move in.
I'm
What
not exactly
direction am I
pausing for
supposed
tea
to
time
go?
here.
Where am I supposed to... Oh, stairs. Honestly, so far, with the start of this game,
Marshal scum!
Bite.
it seems very, very, like, Saints Row the Third-esque. Like, it feels like, at first I was gonna say Saints Row 4,
Still alive?
but it doesn't
You
really
sound
feel
like
like
you
Saints Row
must
4. It
move.
feels more like
Fall
Saints Row
in.
the Third
We'll
with
use
how
this
it kind of
ABC for cover.
opened,
A
in a
rolling
way.
shield.
And I think that's what they're trying to approach. They wanted to have a...
Roger that.
I'm trying to talk here. Yeah, you see, there it is. It looks like I have aim assist.
Keep it up, team.
But I honestly think
Yeah. You lot fought
that
the wrong multinational private
when they were
military
making this game, they had the mindset of Saints Row the Third because of how pivotal the game was. So I guess in a way, it's more of a...
Just trying to understand the pay structure.
Okay, I have a lock-on system. That's actually fascinating. Like, it's more of like a step back from Saints Row 4 and then veering off in a different direction from Saints Row the Third. Which I guess technically isn't entirely bad, but at the same token,
Bailey, hold
everyone had in mind like the grassroots of Saints Row. You know, gangs, rivals, being out on the streets.
I got it. I'm good with
And
up. That's not.
judging by how this game has turned out and what the whole idea of this game is, it doesn't seem to fit that whole idea of gangs and rivals in the same vision that everyone else kind of saw it as. Ooh, this is not looking so well for me. I think another thing I'll say about this section is that this part doesn't really feel as eventful. Like, it feels cinematic,
fire, eh?
and I think that was their whole approach, but it doesn't feel eventful. It doesn't feel like how you would expect a Saints Row game to feel,
Bailey,
you
get
know?
your foot off the gas.
Well, I don't think we can park here.
Too damn open here.
I will say, I think from what I can remember, before this game was released, a YouTuber by the name of Mr. Saints Godzilla got to play a, I guess kind of like an early, well not fairly early, but just more of a early release of the game. He personally had fun with it. I mean, I can kind of understand it. It still has that chaoticness that Saints Row is known for. Like, I want to say Saints Row 2 and onward, but like personally,
I hear that.
I feel like I would have had more fun if they actually spent like thorough time building an actual
Gonna
like
clear out some goons first.
from the ground up
It's on my way.
Saints Row
Besides,
type of
we
style.
don't want them coming up behind us
You know, like
later.
Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2 versus aiming for the more Saints Row the 3rd and 4
Got that?
Yes,
type
ma'am.
of style. Like, don't get me wrong, I still kind of in a way have fun with this. It's just personally to me this doesn't feel like an actual like tried and true Saints Row title. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see the day of a proper Saints Row being released due to Volition actually closing down. Which is kind of sad because Volition, for a moment in time, was kind of standing on its own 2 feet until Agents of Mayhem. But to be fair, Agents of Mayhem also was a rushed project. And from what I'm aware, this game wasn't quite a rushed project. But from the way it feels, it does to an extent feel like a rushed project. Because I think immediately after Saints Row the Third having a remaster, they immediately started working on this reboot.
Couldn't do that.
Similar
with my
to
last
a
job.
lot of other gaming companies, sometimes a remaster or a remake is kind of their way of experimenting with new mechanics and new engines and such. It's their way of seeing whether or not it works.
Let's move. We gotta keep the Nawali hold up until Charlie team arrives.
So I
Newbie, once we
think
hit the saloon, you flank left
that's
while the rest of
why
us hold the
they did
center.
a Saints Row the Third remaster, in a way kind of hinting at, like
Saloon's
don't get me
right around
wrong,
this bend.
Saints Row the
Ready
Third
and
is a
remember
very
the plan.
popular and very well-made game, at least in my eyes. So it was only a matter of time that they made a remaster of that, since they couldn't
All
get a
right,
hold of
team,
the assets.
let's take it.
Why is down on D-pad my crouch button? That is actually kind of weird. Unfortunately, we wouldn't get a Saints Row the 2 or Saints Row 1 remaster, as I believe Volition
Newbie, I
did
told you to
say
flank left.
No plan survives contact with the enemy.
that they lost the assets, like the files to those games. So even if they wanted to, which they have stated that it would have been ideal, they couldn't because they would take building it from the ground up all over again with the same vision as Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 1. Now, honestly, I mean, for Volition's case, I don't think that would have been a bad idea.
Hold fast.
Honestly, spending that time kind of rebuilding, kind of doing what I believe Take-Two did. Doing what Take-Two did and kind of remaking an entry.
Take cover.
Obviously, we've seen that made people want more of Mafia and that whole franchise. I feel like if Volition went in that direction,
Secure. Now get in
they
there and
probably
fuck that
would have
stupid guy.
actually had a chance to stay in the spotlight. But because of this release, I believe, and this is kind of a take of mine, I believe if Volition took the same direction that Take-Two took and made a remake of one of its games, either Saints Row 1 or Saints Row 2, I believe it could have stayed in the spotlight. Because unfortunately, with this release of this game, it made a steep decline. I believe there was a loss of profits, it started to lose its fan base, and it's just like a lot of people started to move on to different games. And then on top of that, straight from launch with this game, it was very, very buggy. And I believe throughout this video, what you guys are going to witness is a little bit of that. I believe over time they did kind of touch up things here and there, but you'll kind of notice that some of it still seems kind of half-baked with the mechanics, the visuals, just all around, including some of like the activities, the missions. Some of it remotely kind of is like a reminder of what Saints Row once was, while also trying to introduce a new idea and not being able to fully implement that new idea. Take as an example Modern Warfare 3. That game, yes, that game, not the other one, not the good one, was a game that was rather half-baked. The multiplayer was very good, and they had the vision, but it was very, very half-baked in the campaign. And unfortunately, it didn't necessarily carry on the story as well as we wanted it to. Now, similar to this game, it did have some good points here and there where I was like, oh, this is fascinating. Oh, this kind of intrigues me. But then there's still a whole ton of it that seems either rushed or not fully put into idea, right? It just seems like it was quick cookie cutter made as filler, which in this case, where as some of the activities in this game is to what Modern Warfare was with the open combat missions. I'll explain it that way, and you guys might see it later on in this video, if I do play enough of it for that.
What does it take for a man to be able to enjoy a quiet drink these days?
Mr. Nawali, you're coming with me.
You really think you have what it takes to bring me in?
Yes! Yes!
Fuck!
Ouch. See, it's moments like this that don't quite remind me of Saints Row. Like, it seems like a comedy action film. It doesn't feel like Saints Row. It's titled Saints Row, but it doesn't feel like a Saints Row. They had the color scheme and kind of similar humor to Saints Row the Third, but it also seems like they kind of wiped the whole idea of Saints Row the Third and just made it squeaky clean. It's got the idea in mind, but it doesn't quite get down the vision of it.
Hold this thing still so I can kill your guys.
Like, so far within this section, I don't understand the point of this plot, right? I don't understand why this part exists. And it's like, no matter how much context is placed into it, it still feels pointless. I'm still left asking, why? Why is this, you know? Like, why am I part of some agency? Why am I hanging from a VTOL? You know, why am I shooting these enemies? Like, wasn't I just some person that was at a house party, and then this is apparently months before? It's like, what's the context of me having this job?
You have more courage than brains.
You're goddamn right I do.
Now, you see, this part kind of reminds me of Saints Row 4, towards the beginning of it, where the boss is fighting
Too predictable.
Zinyak, that alien leader, but it feels like a half-baked version of this, you know, like it feels like a half-baked version of that fight scene. Like, I can see the elements, I can sense them, but they seemed so cooked underneath everything else. It's like they knew what they wanted to go for, but the matter of going for it, they were extremely hesitant. Ah, now I get to choose my outfit. Like, you see, I'm glad, like, this is probably the one part where I'm glad that they brought it back. They brought back having multiple layers to clothing versus just like, here's your tops, here's your bottoms, here's the shoes, here's the accessory section. Have fun with it. Now we actually get to, like, have separate layers. And I'm glad that that's made a return. Like, you see, now we actually have the option of socks and like, shoes and such. Compared to, like, the past couple of titles. Even going as far back as Agents of Mayhem. Even though I wouldn't necessarily classify that as a full-on Saints Row game. If anything, I would just only go as far as to, like, consider it as, like, a one-off. Because technically it is made... I'm sorry, that head caught me off guard. It kind of is made as a one-off. It never was meant to be tied into the whole Saints Row bit. It was just more so inspired and kind of like a otherworld type of thing. Oh yeah, let's get a hack going for this. Upper face? What can I offer for upper face? That did push it up a little bit. Okay. No, let's keep the shades off. We need to see the pretty eyes. Let's see. I believe we got everything that we need here. Let's just get this done. Right here.
Well, you didn't die. All in all, not a bad start.
Like, you see, like, who are...
Jesus Christ!
You're not gonna last.
Your pep talks need some work.
This is for you. Performance bonus.
Like, you see, who are those
Is
people?
this a joke? You're ribbing the rookie?
What were you expecting?
There's supposed to be a bonus based on exceptional performance.
That's right. And if you had performed exceptionally, you would have seen a bonus.
Oh, come on. Can you really look me in the eyes and say I didn't do well?
I can look you in the eyes and say you didn't do what you were told.
App, 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 app. Oh, that was a great time of pausing. I don't think you can look me in the eyes. To be honest. I don't think you can look me in the eyes, because I can't even look you in the eyes.
And if you were in charge, it would have been an inspired decision. But you're not. I am. This is a warning. Fall in line or find a new job.
I feel like this whole video is just going to be me kind of like critiquing this whole game. And I'll be honest, I did play through this game before. I didn't play through much of it, but to be honest, it's because nothing really had me drawn,
Fall in line.
you know?
Look at that. I saved the bloody day.
Like, nothing drew me to want to play this more often. It felt very bland, it felt very cookie cutter, and if anything, it made me want to return back to the old Saints Row games, which I think, honestly, I might actually play one of the older Saints Row games at some point. Maybe after I play this game, and maybe after, like, a good couple of videos. Because I'll be honest, I don't see myself constantly coming back to this game. Second time playing it through, I don't think I see myself trying to complete this. The beginning of it, although seems very, very climactic and seems very action-filled and seems like it has an attempt of humor, it doesn't have anything that screams interesting.
Hey there, it's Nina. So excited about your new gig. Just FYI, we hit a shipment of antiquities last night while you Marshall types were busy. Score 1 for Los Panteros. You'd think Sergio would ask me to assess them. It's not like he has an art history degree, but no. I only pay you to drive, Nina. Either way, at least he paid me. See you soon.
Alright, can I talk now, or are we going through
Hey,
the rest?
Eli. Congrats on your first day as part of the workforce.
We're going through the rest.
I wanted to let you know the bank turned me down for the loan, so I'm going to lose the deal on that warehouse in Providencia. I guess Eli's Real Estate Investment Trust LLC remains a 16-space parking lot. I mean, for now, though, right? Who knows? Anyway,
Oops.
can't wait to hear about your day.
Hey, it's Kev. Good news, I talked to my supplier at the club. She said if I DJ for her next Tuesday, she'll hook up my friend at the hardware store, who in exchange will fix the bathroom plumbing for us. Finally, we can stop waiting for the landlord to get off his ass. Also, I'm making brunch to celebrate your first day on the job. Don't be late.
You see, that's another thing too. The characters themselves are very cookie cutter. Like, each character is supposed to kind of represent what the previous games had. You know, it's like Nina is Shondi, and then Eli is supposed to be kind of like a Pierce character, and then Kevin is supposed to be Johnny Gat. But if you ask me, they don't remind me of any of them. Visually, kind of. Attitude and just everything all around, no. I don't feel a reminder that, yeah, these are these people. They seem like placeholders, and I'm the boss. I don't feel like I'm actually fighting for a gang. And Saints Row was all about that gang warfare.
Oh, everything smells amazing, Kev.
You know what would make it smell even better?
Hey man, if you want a $300 waffle maker, you can buy it with the exposure the idols pay you in. Don't expect us to chip in.
I've told you before, the idols are trying to build a post-capitalist society where money is not a concept.
Yeah? Then why don't you go run off and join the commune?
I'm into showering. Are you gonna help me get the waffle maker or not?
As an investor, I don't like wasting money.
You're wearing a fucking bow tie.
Okay.
He's got a
I will
point
throw
there.
in $20 for a waffle maker.
Nina?
Good for 10?
Who helped you move your forged paintings last month?
Fine, 15.
What sort of waffle maker can I get for 35 bucks?
Presumably one that makes fucking waffles.
Hey, the wage slave is back.
How was your first day? Were the other mercenaries nice to you?
You know, as far as hired killers go, I'd give him a 7.
You look like you could use a mimosa.
Thanks, Eli.
I look like I'd use
Seriously,
teeth.
I can tell you love it.
Okay, I don't have to love it. I have to pay my student loans.
Poof. Amen.
And that right there within itself veers all kinds of people away from Saints Row. Saints Row, all the way up until Get Out of Hell, has mainly been about being gang members out on the street. The way I look at Saints Row as a franchise is the same way I look at Fast and Furious as a franchise. First, it started on the ground level, you know, just some people in tuners and muscle cars doing street racing, boosting all kinds of shit, and then eventually ramps up to, you know, law enforcement and certain characters being in that kind of realm. Then you got ex-cons and all kinds of stuff, and then crossing borders, still walking that fine line of what Fast and Furious was. And then eventually you are working for the government. And not just any part of the government, no, the big people. We're talking MI6. We're talking the unknowns, right? We're talking shooting people off into space. Funny that I compare the Saints Row franchise to Fast and Furious, because Fast and Furious never really dropped the ball. I mean, sure, in some people's eyes, they kind of dropped the ball. Eventually, they had their moment, kind of like how the Saints Row franchise had their moment with Saints Row 4. But when you look at it in hindsight, they capped it off. They eventually had self-awareness that this isn't going to go anywhere else, and that this is kind of the end of the line of the story. You know, you start off on a ground level, then eventually you work yourself up to the chain, and then you go off into Fantasyland of what it would be like as a gangster turned president, and then eventually going off into space. And then that's it. It ends. This right here no longer has a reminder of what Saints Row is. It doesn't even fully follow its promotion. These are not people out on the streets doing all kinds of crime, trying to make ends meet and trying to get their names known. This is people taking any kind of job that they can get as students. And not even just students, but graduates possibly. This is not a reminder of what Saints Row is. Because Saints Row isn't just some name. It is based off of the name of a gang and where that gang was at. The whole premise of Saints Row is the gang being the Saints, and then where they're stationed at, the Row, within Stillwater. All in all, that title insinuates that this is the Saints Row. It does not belong to any other gang. They were very territorial. They were very violent. They were very grimy and dirty. This right here alone does not scream Saints Row. This screams a whole other title. I personally wouldn't have had a problem if Volition named this title something else. I don't mind the story. I don't mind the idea. But the fact that they tried to slap the Saints Row title onto this and said, yeah, this is just another branch of the franchise. The fact that they tried to do that, it makes Agents of Mayhem look remotely closer to the Saints Row franchise. And that was an intentional spin-off. This right here is not a spin-off. This right here is not a reboot. This is them killing the franchise and saying, nope, that's not what we are. This right here is why people are disappointed. The story seems lackluster. It's lacking in its humor, it's lacking in its content, it's lacking within its context, and the characters are all cookie cutter, including the boss. The only thing that drove this game to some degree was the action. Because at least in some cases with its physics and with certain activities, it brought chaos. That within itself still reminded people of at least Saints Row the Third. Otherwise, the story, the gameplay within that story makes little to no sense. It has no drive, it has no intrigue, nothing. It has absolutely no fire. Volition sat down and said, what are we known for making? Games that are basically satirical pieces on real life. What can we do in current day that people are struggling with? Oh yeah, student loans. This right here was a sad attempt at trying to reach beyond what they've been known for. And it unfortunately failed. Hence why Volition eventually closed their doors and is no longer making any new games. Now, I can only hope that eventually some members that were once a part of Volition would kind of reform and make another development team and kind of branch off and make their own game. Or perhaps even make the dream Saints Row that we've been looking for, right? Something within that same realm, the same idea. Because in this kind of case now, Saints Row is kind of up for grabs. And I think that's why when it comes to games like Saints Row 1 and 2, especially 2, people really started to thrive within the modding community.
Right, who's ready for some crime?
And you know how we should celebrate afterwards.
Karaoke!
Get me out of here. Are they all gonna follow if I do that? No. Okay. See, like, even the running feels kind of clunky.
Kev, you cased the place. What are we looking at?
One guard out front and the owner at the till. He's a real scuzzbag. I want some kick a dog. So, fuck that guy.
You see, I kind of miss how it was with Saints Row 2 when they kind of cased out the casino that they decided to shoot up.
Let's get psyched.
In this kind of case, it's like, you telling me Kevin managed to case the joint before we got to the apartment?
You have more agency and power than the world wants you to know. But to realize that power,
What is this radio station on about?
your own boss. Be your own boss. That's right. Be your own boss.
One of these days, I'm going to get you to listen to music in the car.
Roger McGillicuddy speaks the music of my soul.
You are a different kind of cat, Eli.
Look at
Before I let this dialogue continue, let me just make you aware that my settings are at the max. Oh yeah,
So
that's
I
the
made 'em
action
watch
shot.
while I broke their dad's. Ah, shit.
Walk away, or the phrase dead end job gets literal.
I don't have much. We don't want your money, just his. Get out of here.
You done fucked up.
I've been getting that a lot lately. Where's the safe?
If you're lucky, the cops will get to you before my people.
Nice left.
Been practicing.
I can tell.
Police made us work.
Like, at least they put in the effort to make good car sounds. But as you can kind of see, it already is choppy with some of it.
Time to.
And allow me to provide you with, yeah, it's at the highest setting. And mind you, I'm on the PS5. A console that is able to run this setting with any other game. Prime example being Spider-Man 1 and 2, especially Spider-Man 2. It is able to run any other game, including GTA 5 as well, at such a setting. But for whatever reason with this game, the performance is highly, highly pressured. Now, it does say that it would put a cost at frame rate, but the frames aren't necessarily dropping. What's really dropping is the rendering. That's what's being sacrificed here. Like, at least in some circumstances, the mechanics are actually kind of fun to mess with, such as the damage models with cars. But I think that's why some people still, to an extent, had fun. A train? Really? But I think that's why, as to some extent, some people had fun with this game. Not because of the core gameplay itself, not because of the story, not because of some of the activities, but in addition, the mechanics.
Try sideswiping them. It always works for me. Just let them get alongside you, and then bam, send them into a ditch.
I don't think it worked.
The best hit comes from full side-to-side contact.
Like, you see, this feels kind of bland, in my opinion. Like, it's nice that they took into account the lighting and such, but just... this whole chase sequence alone just does not feel eventful. It does not feel climactic. It feels very sandboxy, and a positive I can say about this game is the map itself. They at least decided to go out and venture a little bit creativity-wise.
How's everyone else?
Eli and I made it home at the
But it's just like...
Nina, where you at?
Just changed cars and
everything else just does not draw me to want to play this more.
safe and sound at the junkyard
Like,
a minute ago.
I find myself playing this game only enough to be able to mess with the sandbox stuff. Like, I'm honestly thinking, if there is cheats to this game, I'm thinking the next video, that's what I'll explore, is the cheats. I don't see myself trying to play through the story enough to make a progression just to mess around with the sandbox elements. Because I'm sure the sandbox side of things has a lot of potential. It's just what really kills it is the story and then their whole approach to the story. Like, in some circumstances, I truly don't understand the context. See, like, that's actually interesting to mess with.
Splendid. What the fuck did you assholes do to my getaway car?
Ain't your car if it's on our turf. Now you're gonna pay for parking.
This person's dead, by the way.
We'll teach you to respect Los Panteros. We're having time for this shit today.
Like, you see, at least when it comes to this side of things, it's still eventful to some extent.
Problem. Los Panteros scrapped my switch.
But it's just the why.
Bigger problem. The police picked up that firefight at the junkyard. They're heading your way.
Grab a bike and head off-road. I'll pick you up in the desert.
Damn.
It looks like I'm running much faster than how I'm
On my
moving.
way. There's a trail that goes between the mesas. I'll meet you on the other side.
Understood.
Do I want to know what happened to the Panteros who stripped your car?
Sorry, Nina. Self-defense.
I will admit, though, to some extent, the driving is kind of clunky. Like, it seems somewhat flushed,
I've got cops up the arse.
but it also feels very, very clunky and baked. And I guess rather quarter baked? I don't know. Like, I can't seem to control this bike for the life of me. Like, I can in some instances, and then I can't. Like, you can kind of see my bike wanted to go in a certain direction, but it didn't want to veer in that direction. I mean, at least they made the cutscenes a little smooth. To a degree.
Well, shit.
Freeze! Down on the ground!
Like, let me just say, this is 4K, right? This is on a PlayStation 5. Tell me why this game, and in these cutscenes, looks like it was made on a PS3 dev kit.
You called for a ride?
I'm your Uber driver. Get in.
But isn't she technically risking it for rent anyway?
So, is this how it's gonna be every time we have to pay rent?
I thought that went great. Yeah, okay. Maybe I can go back to running my old side hustles for extra cash.
Like, the way this cutscene looks, it looks like it was made on the same dev kit that was made to build the early build of Saints Row the Third. Like, if you've ever seen what the early build of Saints Row the Third looks like, you can kind of see the vision. And Saints Row the Third, with its original release, was very, very well thought out and flushed out. It was nice. But it's like, with some of these elements, it just looks like they picked it up from Saints Row the Third's dev kit.
Nina said you might go back to some of your old side hustles. I have some friends who might need work done in your area of expertise.
Now, you see, what does he mean?
I think you really like them.
I like them fine as long as their money's good. Thanks, Kev.
Now, you see, what does he mean about old side hustles? Are we not college students? Are you telling me that at some point throughout college, I did crime, and then still somehow managed to pull through college, and then still also managed to be in debt? Like, some of these plot points just do not make sense to me. Let's see, ooh, there is cheats. So I think, honestly, I'm honestly thinking the next video I make on this game, I'm going to mess with all these cheats. I'm going to mess with all of them, and then see what kind of fun I can get up to using them. But it's just like, here's another thing too. It's like, I can't tell what is an activity and what is just a little thing here and there. Like little pickups and discoveries. I can't tell. Like, is it the blue? It looks like the blue is the side hustles and such. It seems so minimalistic. But you see, this is what I'm saying. Like, the map size is cool, and I kind of like where they went with the map itself. It's how they utilized it, and just all around their construction of it. Like, it seems good on paper, but just overall, like, the projection of it just, or I guess the trajectory does not seem smooth. It's kind of like I said before, though. If I'm to play this game in the future, it's not going to be for the story. It's going to be for the sandbox elements. It's going to be for anything else that the game can offer. It's just like playing through this game, even just through the beginning, you can already kind of see some of the elements as to why this was a major failure. And it's not even going that far into the mission. Like give or take, like, what, I've played maybe 2-3 missions already as is, and I'm already veered away. In this case, it feels like a chore versus like a sense of intrigue and interest to play more of it. It feels like a chore just to get to the good stuff. Like, genuinely, I don't know how long this video is going to be because I don't know how long I'm willing to play this. Like, you see, what happened there? What caused my car to flip over?
Follow the tracks and smash through anything that gets in your way. Be aggressive. Use the nitrous if you have to.
Why does this box have air holes?
I said no peeking.
Oh, there is actually a time limit to this. This is not looking too well for me. And I underestimated when I was supposed to turn. It's like, it's ever so minuscule things that they did in this game that seem good. It's very, very minuscule. Like, they focused on the tiny things, and they didn't focus on the actual, like, major important bits to this game. They didn't focus on the foundation as to why the game should be this way, you know?
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting, and they had to hire a new one.
If anyone remembers that Matrix game that came out, that was strictly for a limited time, and I believe it was prior to the latest Matrix movie releasing, that was a showcase of like all different kinds of mechanics, the shaders, everything. And you can even mess with it because it practically kind of was like a dev kit. But that was to showcase what was to be up and coming on these consoles. Hence why it was limited time. Hence why, unless you have it, you're kind of out of luck. Because by now you're already experiencing what some of those features are. Like, let me just pause and discuss things for a second. So, when it comes to that Matrix game, it's like unless you have it, you're already by now experiencing what that whole physics engine consists of. So that's kind of the reason why it was limited, because it wasn't meant as like an official product. It was just a licensing based around, you know, here's this world, here's what you can mess with, so on and so forth. And then anyone on PC can tamper with it with like different kinds of mods and stuff. People have thrown in Superman mods, people have thrown in Iron Man mods. This game right here, Saints Row, feels like a showcase. Also, just a little side note, who did the voice acting? And I feel bad because they probably got paid somewhat well, only to realize this was the outcome. There is no driving skill. Okay, how about perks? No, that's just kind of how it worked within other Saints Row games. So there really is no adjustment to driving. That within itself doesn't feel right. The fact that you can't improve driving or anything of that nature makes me kind of concerned. Because although it seems like I'm controlling fairly well, in some instances, not so much. It feels like a drag trying to drive these. It doesn't feel arcadey. It doesn't feel borderline, you know, like a simulation. Even though Saints Row never really was about the simulated controls. It's just like, it feels choppy. And it feels like I have to really, really force.
And that's what I hired you for. Get ready for the idols.
And that's why these people are... That's why these people are trying to trace me? I have to return to the... See, like, it doesn't tell me whether or not I'm supposed to be within the area. It says to survive. And the whole incentive behind this part makes zero sense. It's like, okay, I put in a review. Why did I put in the review? And why is this happening? Like, who are these people? And it's crazy that the NPCs are doing more killing than I am. Because look at that. Look at the NPCs. They're running over people. I myself don't have to worry about fighting these people. And yet already I'm about to die without even understand. Like, what is that? Like, what am I supposed to do about that? Like, okay, so I can't even... Like, am I supposed to just be close up? Like, what's the defense against it? I have to experience different enemy types, and there's no understanding as to how I'm supposed to combat them. Aside from just survive, and that's it. Like, this whole sequence made no sense. I put a review on a restaurant, and then, for whatever reason, these very questionable people that look like they came from a more cyberpunk-esque Mad Max came after me. That doesn't make sense. Who are they and why? It carries no context as an activity. It feels like they're a group that I was supposed to be introduced to, but odds are I'm not going to be introduced to them until much later in the game. Why open up these activities if I'm not going to know who these people are? In past Saints Row games, anytime you did an activity, it pertained to the gangs that you were already aware of. In this game, you're not quite introduced to many gangs or rivals. You're just presented that, yes, there's law enforcement, yes, there's gangs. You're not going to know these gangs until much later, but here's some activities that include these gangs. Is this supposed to bring me under the impression that I'm just fighting for anything? Because, like, personally to me, it doesn't feel like there's an actual gain doing these activities aside from the fact that they're completed. In previous Saints Row games, when you did an activity, you felt like you really were taking over territory. You felt like you were actually getting a hold of part of the map, right? It was either gang-oriented or it was really just truly a sandbox-esque activity. In this game, it seems to kind of blur the lines between sandbox and gang. Except you don't know the gang, and the whole sandbox idea doesn't really make sense here. Like, see, even making these discoveries don't really do anything. Like, okay, hidden history, what's that got to do with the map, and why should I care? And then you see, apparently I just triggered someone. But how? How was I supposed to know that was a gang member? How was I supposed to know not to run into that person? There is no introduction to these gangs, and there is no presentation for them until a further point in the game. And I personally don't feel like I want to play that much of this game to figure out who they are. I have been assigned a job. I wonder what this job could be. Now, I will say, contrary to previous critiques about this game, this mission that's coming up, I will say, is kind of fun and does kind of remotely remind me of Saints Row a tiny bit. But yet again, it only reminds me of Saints Row the Third, and it reminds me of that one mission where they're on that movie set. That's all that reminds me of.
Sure, let's go with that.
Sergio, huh?
You're familiar with Panteros?
I mean, my roommate's one of them, so yeah. Don't give me that look, rent's expensive.
Is this gonna be a problem?
I mean, per the roommate code, I'm going to have to fold her laundry for 2 weeks, but beyond that, I'm golden.
That within itself is also another point in time when I feel iffy about the plot. Because why is the main character telling this person, someone that is behind a task force or militia? I don't even know what this is kind of considered as. Why is this person being informed of illegal activity when this whole task force is made to prevent illegal activity? Like, that within itself makes no sense. I don't know. Like, it's just, it really is confusing to me.
What are they moving?
Antiquities, mostly. The Nawali was waiting to sync up with them before he was captured.
Before we captured him.
I'm pretty sure you were about to die when I came along and saved your ass.
And yet if I hadn't stalled him, he would have got away. So, you're welcome. Do you want it to look like an accident or a statement?
What?
Well, I'm assuming you want me to make the convoy disappear.
No, I want you to follow it.
So I can kill everyone and retrieve the stolen goods.
So we know where they're going.
Sure, and then I kill everyone and retrieve the stolen goods.
No. Then you will report back to me, I will arrive with the team, and you will go home and hit the showers before you have a chance to fuck it up.
You think I can't do this?
I think you like getting a paycheck. Follow the convoy. Don't fuck it up.
Like, you see, who is this? Who in the hell is this? And why is he important? Didn't we face the big bad guy earlier? Like, who is this? What's his name? What's his role? That's the thing. We don't know.
Hey there. Name's JR. We about to see some action?
No.
Orders are to follow the convoy, observe its activity, and report back. Splendid.
Newbie, why am I seeing gunfire at the back of that convoy?
Well, there were motorcycles and then a turret, and one thing led to another.
Well, that was quick.
You don't sound angry.
Did you honestly think I would send one car after a convoy that size? You're just a distraction. We got a drone following these motherfuckers.
Wait, you used me as bait?
That's the job you were born for. Mission accomplished.
I'm like, am I gonna get the opportunity to jump? I'm like, the car...
This one's burning
Jesus
too.
Christ. Can I jump on here? Thank you.
I thought I ordered you to retreat.
Honest to God, I am trying.
Well, as distractions go, you're exceeding expectations.
Great. Mind putting that in my performance review?
What the hell? Okay. See, like, at least there's some ideas of, like, animations that actually, like, stand well. But it's just, like, in other cases, it really lacks. Like this. Like, what is that? There's a shell of a vehicle that is tumbling.
Marshall needs to stay the fuck out of my business.
A dual shot weapon. Nice.
He's charging us. Shoot him! Shoot him! You think you can take my shit?
Yeah. Like, you see, this is kind of an okay mission, but it's like fighting against Sergio. It's like, did I really kill Sergio that early when he's projected to be the big bad? Like, this doesn't feel super duper eventful. It seems cool, and it seems like a highlight of this game, but overall, it doesn't seem that exciting. It seems just mediocre at best. And I think that's, in general, how I would talk about this game, is mediocre at best. Like, at least with whoever voiced this person, it actually, like, feels like proper voice acting work. Because it actually is funny, and it actually is, like, projecting something. Whereas everyone else, it just seems very, very bland. And then whoever plays Gwen just seems to be taking it very serious, but then, like, whoever was behind this game wasn't serious enough. Oh, it looks like I'm trying to take... Where did he come from? Okay, well, I guess that don't matter anymore. There's no shot we survived that, right? Now, why would I want to punch him? Actually, you know what?
That's what you get for smuggling antiquities.
Okay. I guess it was that easy?
Hey, Gwen. I follow the convoy. It stopped.
You know, it's like, as fun as that mission seemed, I don't really feel satisfied. And I feel like that's what this whole game is just like. It's like you complete a mission, it seems action-filled, but you don't really feel progression. You don't feel satisfied. It's too busy trying to look action-packed rather than actually being action-packed. Like, you see, like, looking at this, I don't feel an incentive. Because unlike Saints Row the Third, where it notifies you of a new mission and it kind of like shows you who it's from, it sits passively. And I don't recall anyone in the Saints Row community saying that they disliked being notified of new missions. If anything, it felt gratifying having a new mission to report to. But it's just like, it doesn't feel as gratifying in this game as it did before seeing a new mission. And it's like at the end of every mission, when it came to like Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 1, it will tell you if you have enough XP to do the next mission, which that within itself create an incentive to do the activities. And then after doing the activities, you get satisfaction being able to see that you can progress further into the story. Whether that be doing strongholds so you can control more territory, or just simply progressing through the story as is with the mainline missions. In this game, you're not worried about strongholds. You're ever so slightly worried about activities as merely just a side quest. And the main mission itself doesn't even feel like a proper main mission. There's not really an incentive to do the missions. Now, I get the idea of a game like this being a sandbox game, but the last time I checked, this is Saints Row. This is not Just Cause, where it purely is about destruction and the missions are just merely a way of gaining points. Because Just Cause never really was a story-driven game. Sure, it has some form of story, but you don't really have an incentive to keep pushing through that story. All it comes down to is whether or not you do certain activities, certain challenges, and if you want to do those stories. Overall, Just Cause is just mainly seen as a sandbox game where you can destroy bridges with bombs, vehicles, or anything you'd want. In a game like this, you're not really worried about destruction, nor are you really worried about pushing the game to its absolute limits. So it's like there really should be an incentive to do the story. In this case, there just isn't. Anyways, I don't know how many videos I'm going to do with this game. Honestly, I probably won't play this game all that much just because I myself am not fascinated enough with it to do so. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. That way you do not miss a single video, whether it be my sheer torture playing games like this or my sheer enjoyment and amusement with any future games I play. Peace.